Hello and welcome to this short demo of the Fieldwire platform. Today we'll discover together the differences between the Pro, the Business, and the Business Plus tiers within the platform. So we'll start with the Pro option, and I want all of us to just spend a little bit of time understanding this homepage. This is whenever you log into Fieldwire, you are easily able to find all of your projects in one place. As you can see, I'm able to see who has access to what projects. I can also really filter my projects by name, by dates, by person responsible, etc. Here on top, I have different options as well. For example, a People's tab in which I can see who has access to my account, more account related informations. We have project templates. This is a place in which you can create all of your project templates. So whenever you create and start and open a new project, you can already use pre-existing templates to help facilitate the process. And then we also have an integrations tab in which you can see all of the existing integrations between Fieldwire and other platforms. In terms of your projects, we'll take an example of what a project looks like. If I click on this initial project, this is what the menu of a project would look like. So we have two big modules. We have the field management and we have the project management side. For the sake of the Pro option, we'll start here with field management and we'll explore the features together for what it has to offer. So the Pro option has to offer plans to start with. And with plans, it's really cool because you're able to add all of your drawings in one place and have our system basically scan that information like the title, like the description, and be able to find them easily in one place. So for example, right now, I'll just click here on this button and I can quickly see all of the different plans that I have and their folder as well. So for example, I have my index, my architectural, my civil, landscape drawings. If I want them to have more in detail, I can open up and see the different pages. Whenever you want to upload a new set, you just click on new plan here and you can quickly upload using this button. You can also use our integrations within Dropbox, Box, or OneDrive. Fieldwire will automatically scan your drawings, but if for whatever reason you'd like to do a double scan or just to check something, you can always select the specific drawings and you could ask Fieldwire to scan the number and description and tell it exactly where it can find the sheet number and the description number. In this case, I can find it here. I only have to do it one time and then it will scan again all of those sheet numbers. Fieldwire will do a couple of things automatically as well, like for example, create all the hyperlinks automatically. So for example, you can see this call out for the page 83.01. Whenever I click on here, I can automatically go to the connection to that specific call out. So it helps really team save a lot of time by just quickly in the field clicking on there. So if you're on your tablet, on your cell phone, or on the computer, you can easily navigate on those hyperlinks. The second thing it does automatically is reads for the scale. So if you want to be able to use, for example, in our toolbox here, the option to take a distance, a measurement, you can always go directly into the drawing, click on a distance, for example, and then be able to measure directly on the drawing. Something it also does is it allows you to have a system to quickly track, all the revisions, all the changes that happens within those drawings. So for example, right now we are looking at the most up-to-date drawings. Whenever I click on a specific page, in this case, the A2.01-1, I'm able to find on the bottom right-hand side which revision this is. For example, this is the revision 2. I can still click here and look at the revision 1, but it will say old version everywhere to make sure no one is getting confused by the old or the new version. It's all very clear. It's all in one place. If ever I want to be able to see the differences between the new version and the old one, I just have to click on compare and I can easily compare the revision 2 with the revision 1, hit compare, and I can see those differences. In this case, you'll see I'll just remove the layers. It'll be easier to see. But everything in blue is the new drawing and everything in red is the old one. So I'm easily able to see the changes in one place. Say I wanted to add a markup here to really put into evidence the changes. I'll just add this clutter revision in here. I'll just add the information at the specific location. And then if I were to come back to my most up-to-date drawing, you'll see that that markup followed. So this will happen all the time. If I were to add more markups in there and I add a new revision, all of those markups will go to the most up-to-date version. We have a lot more tools. So for example, if you wanted to add a picture, a document, a form directly into the plan, you can. What is the advantage of doing that is that it's all in real time. So if I were to add, for example, a document, an RFI into my plan, we'll take an example here. I'll add this document or this hyperlink. I'll put it anywhere on the drawing. Say there's an RFI right here. I'd be able to find the document. In this case, I'll just use here a document I want to attach. My team can click in real time in here. So again, whether they're on their tablet, cell phone, on their computer, they'd be able to click and access that document in one place. Same idea for an RFI, right? I'd be able to click here, for example, and then go search if I have a hyperlink for an RFI. I'd be able to put it in the exact location. If you want to add just a highlighter or just draw with a pen, it's also easy to do it directly within this page. So you can select, again, the shape, how big you want this to be. You can also add symbols. You can add text. So if there's a change here, I can say, RFI, and then again, go select my RFI and put it directly here. So all in all, if we were to look at the drawings, it's a way to easily communicate, a way to just be able to track all of the documents in real time. And it's an easy way to be able to add all of your markups, revision, etc. Next up, we have the specification page. This is where you can add basically your spec book for your project. The way it works is you would basically just click on add specification. You would upload your spec book in here, and then Fieldwire will basically organize that spec book by section. As you can see in here, you can manually select, for example, the page number. So from what page to what page the specific sections are about, and then the goal is for you to be able to click at any time on a specific section. In this case, I'll click on structural steel, and I'll be able to find that information very easily. Next up, we have the tasks. And in this section, it's super useful because you can do a lot of different things with tasks. It's not only a way to communicate, but it's a way to be able to track progress, questions coming from the field, deficiencies or punch items. We can also see what's been complete, what's been verified, and it's really easy to move the task from one status to the other. And the goal with this, again, is to be able to just keep an overall neat tracking progress of all the tasks within one project. These statuses can be changed, by the way. So if I were to create a different system with different tracking systems, whether that be a QA, QC workflow, or you want to be able to, again, just track questions or progress, you can create your own statuses in here. But overall, what a task is, we'll just click on this slab on grade pour. A task is a way for us to have, for example, checklists to be able to know what's been completed within the project. We can have, again, the statuses we were seeing together before. We have a section for a category, so we can add our categories here. We can create new ones as well. We can select assignees. So these will be people who would be responsible for the tasks. And of course, they are notified in real time via push notifications or emails within the platform. And then you also have start end dates, manpower cost. So a lot of different filters you can add into this task. But I would say more importantly, within this task, you can send pictures, you can add markups, you can send messages. So it avoids us having to go through WhatsApp, emails, phone calls, texts, and we can use this kind of as a centralized way of communicating and tracking, again, everything related to the project. The advantage also is it's really easy for us to export out the information. So for example, if we were to send this task for whatever reason to an external party, we could always click on share, and then we could export this or send this via email and have that professional looking PDF come out of here. In this case, we'll just use an example here. This is the task. This is the name of the project, the address, the logo on here. So this, you could have the logo of your company, and then the checklist item with the pictures and all the information on here. I just gave you an example of one task, but you can also generate a report. Say you wanted to generate a punch report or a progress tracking report. You'd be able to create your own report, say you wanted to have a PDF detailed, so multiple tasks within that report, and you want to include, say, the start date, the plans, the messages, the files. You could select what you want out of this, and you can also select what kind of tasks you want. Do you want the tasks that are sitting in one specific type of status, for example? Do you want the tasks that are only specific dates? And then from there, you can select to send them via email or export out that report. And it will also give you kind of that professional looking report like we were seeing before with that one task, but it will include multiple tasks. In this case, you can see here all the tasks with the specific location on the drawing, the pictures attached, and all of the information relevant to the report. Going to photos, this is a place in which you can add all of your photos from your project. So keep in mind, again, we were looking at one specific project right now. So all of those pictures are linked to one project, and you can easily see whether that be 360 pictures you'd like to have on your project. You can also have links. So for example, this picture I know is linked to a plan. If I click on the plan, it leaves me and brings me directly to the location in which we added this picture. So all of your pictures can live here. It can be dated. We can add again markups, and it's just really easy to find the information again in one place. We also have a files section. So this is anything that is not your plans, your drawings, you can add them here. So you can create folders in here and then add, whether that be design changes, general documentation, data sheets. You can even create permission levels. For example, I added some documents related to my budget, and I created a filter to block so that not everyone can have access to this. So it keeps my information private to the people that need to have access to this, but I'm still quickly able to find the information in here. Everything I've shown you so far, so the plans, the specifications, the tasks, the photos, and the files are part of our pro tier, so our pro option. Moving on to the business tier includes everything we saw before, but it includes our forms module, our 3D models, and it includes the integrations or part of the integrations we were seeing in that page. So please consult our website to just have more information in terms of all the integrations available. But now we're moving on into the business tier. So again, we'll talk about forms and 3D models who are part of business. The forms module is a way for you to create your own form templates. So whether that be daily reports, safety audits, time and material tags, any sort of document you'd like to create to modify, to shape to your liking, and then to have your team fill out from the field is something that you can do within this module. We'll take an example with the daily report, just so you see the format and what it looks like. But basically, your daily reports, you could have a section like the weather section in which you could see the condition, the temperature, the humidity level, the wind at 3 different times, so 6 a.m., at noon, and 4 p.m. And you can also have different blocks like the general info section. So for example, any delays, any messages or notes that you want to add. You can have a work log as well and add your different sections, as you can see. This is, by the way, the pre-existing template that I'm showing you. So this you can, start using it from the very beginning. But if you want to modify sections, you can always change create drop-down menus, change your naming, create different sections. But in this case, we have the equipment log as well with the descriptions, the delivery date, the times, the notes, material delivery as well, activity log, and then finally, you'd have some attachments. So if you want to add pictures, documentation to that form, you can add it as well. You can add notes if you want to put into evidence something as well in there. And then you'd have a place for a signature. So you can sign this again from the field or directly from the browser. You can add your signature, your name, and then that will appear directly on there. So you could have all of your daily reports in here. And just like with the task, it's super easy to export out the information. It can be generated into PDFs or into Excel documents. In this case, we'll have a look at the daily report, and I can quickly see again the name of the project, the company logo, and then all of the information from this daily report. If I wanted to change the format of this form, I have the option here to manage my template. And then from there, I can select, again, my different sections. So if I want to create new, again, drop-down menus, if I want to have different type of questions, boxes, lists, I can create and change this right here. Keep in mind, you can also add pre-filled documents in here. So for example, fillable PDFs, if you don't want to use the Fieldwire builder, you can just upload that type of document in there and then have your team fill it up from Fieldwire itself. Moving on to the 3D models, this is a very interesting feature that allows you to be able to see a 3D model in real time within Fieldwire. Just keep in mind, we do not design or create or model this. You simply upload your 3D models. And as you can see here, the model you can use is IFC files to upload your drawings. And the cool thing here is you're able to see again all the information within that model. If you want, for example, to isolate objects or hide specific objects, you can do it. And you can view the models again very easily. You can also cut the model if you want to see, for example, the interior progressively. You can basically just click from a cut and then be able to see the relevant information on here. Keep in mind the 3D models, you can see them from the computer, but also from the tablet, also from the cell phone. So it's made to be very light and easy to navigate. So everything we saw right now, so all of the field management stuff, including forms, 3D models, and the integrations is part of our business tier. And now we're going to move on to our project management tier, which includes the RFI modules, the submittals, the change orders, and the budget. So the RFI section is a way for us to be able to track in real time all of the RFIs that are within a project. So whenever I click here, I can see that I have 8 RFIs in draft, I have 4 that are open, 2 pending, 10 closed, and we have none that are void. And all of my RFIs are currently right here. So as you can see, I can just quickly filter them by status, by due date, by the assignee. And my RFIs are basically a way to ask a question and send it over either via email, or I can assign it to someone within Fieldwire if they are a user of the platform. We'll do an example together. I can just click on new RFI. I can click here on test 1, 2, 3. And then I'll open up this RFI. I have a section for the due date. So say this needs to be completed by latest next Wednesday. And I have a section for a question. I can ask my question right here. So clarifying for outlet ABC. I can add an attachment if I wanted to add more context in terms of the exact question I'm asking. And then I can add a suggestion if I'd like to. On the right-hand side, I can add more details. So if I have a reference number I'd like to use or an impact, whether that be cost, and schedule. And then we have some impact notes as well. And then from there, again, I can submit to a user of Fieldwire, or if the person I'm sending this to does not have Fieldwire, I can send it to an email address directly in here. The really cool thing here is if I click the email option, the recipient will get an email with a PDF attached with the question itself. And the external user just has to hit reply on that email, and that information will get plugged in into Fieldwire automatically. So just to give you an example, I'll download a copy of this RFI, like a PDF, so you can see the format, but basically the recipient will receive an email with this attached. So the RFI number, the question itself in here, the photo, and the logo, the company logo on there. If that recipient replies to the email with the information, I will be notified via email as well as get a notification. And I will be able to find the reply in the activity section, to which I can either refuse or accept. If I accept, I can basically have the information added to my RFI. And the goal with this is for you to instead to have to go to your personal emails or your work emails and then download the information and upload them to Fieldwire, everything can be in one place. So you can find all that information in one place. You can submit the question. For the sake of this example, I'll just submit it to myself. I can have the response added in here. And then you can have, I'll just accept the RFI, but you can have all the information again in here. So if I were to export my RFI with all the information, I would be able to find the exact same document we uploaded, but with the question, with the picture, and then with the answer on there. And then my activity tab would be able to tell me in here, when did we open the RFI? When did we send the information out? When did we get the response? And when did it get approved or accepted, basically? Or when did we close the RFI? So the RFI section is a quick way for us to be able to track kind of like all that back and forth and all that information. And of course, from there, we could always go back to our drawing section, to our plans, and then add that document, that RFI, to the exact section that were the question. In this case, the test 1, 2, 3, I'll just add the RFI. So now my team can just click on here and then have access to all the information. The submittal section is similar to the RFI, in which we can track all of our submittals in one place. In this case, I have my little dashboard here on top in which I can see all my submittals in draft, all the ones that have been requested, how many are in pending review, pending approval, and then which ones are closed. And the idea here is for us to be able to track again the statuses, the submission due dates, the response due dates, and then the people who are responsible for those submittals. If I click on a specific submittal, I can add a submission. I can send it for approval or for submission in this case, depending on if we are the sub or the GC in this specific scenario. And just like with the RFIs, it's a way for us to track the status and where it's currently at. So for example, for this one, I can see it's overdue. Well, this one is extremely overdue. It's just a demo project, so it's normal. But here is kind of all the relevant information in one place. And then for change orders, it's the same idea as the RFIs and submittals. The main change is instead of having the number of change orders in here, we'll find the total amounts. In this case, I have 34K sitting in draft. I have 76K pending approval on those change orders, and I have 25K or 26K in approved change orders. And all of the individual change orders here, similar to the other submittals and RFIs, I have the status, the due dates. In this case, I have the cost added as well. Keep in mind, you can change your currency, CAD, USD, or whatever currency you're using. You can change it in the project settings. But from a specific change order, I can just click on one, and then from there, I can start adding the details. So again, the reason for the change order, whether that be a design change, owner change, drawing error, etc. I can add a reference number. If there's a schedule impact, I'll add all the notes that are relevant here. And then the cool part is I can start adding all of my costs in here. So my materials, my labor, my equipment, and I can decide for each section if I want to have a specific cost code with the item names, with the quantity, with the unit type, and Fieldwire will start building out basically those totals for us. In this case, I added my equipment, my subcontractor costs in here, my cost markups per section, as you can see here. So I applied, for example, this specific cost code. So management overhead plus profit, added as a subcontractor and a percentage on there. So it will create and add all the totals. And then I can add my final markups in here. After adding all my different sections, I can go and add all the backup documents in here very easily. So attach all the files. And then from there, we can basically send for approval or request the cost in this case if we need to send out a cost request. The really interesting part again is if we download the PDF or if we send it via email, the person will get same thing, name of the project, the company logo, and all the information like the description, the delay impact, the cost, and also more specifically, a place for the signatures and a breakdown of the costs in here. And as you can see, it's all made in a professional fashion to make sure everything is clear for the person involved. Just like with the RFIs and submittals, if I were to send this, for example, for approval to an external party via email, if that person hits reply to their email with the information, for example, they reply yes, approved via email, well, you would be notified via email. You'll get a notification within your Fieldwire, and you'll see within the activity tab the response. So you'll be able to see all of the information within this specific change order without you having to go to your work emails, download the documentation, put it back into here, and then confirming the change order. So it keeps everything neat and in one place. Finally, we have the budget section. That's also part of Business Plus. And then in the budget section, this can be connected directly to your change orders. And what is the goal of the budget section here is for you to know at all times your projected budget, to know whether you're over or under, and then to be able to track your margins within the project. So at the beginning of the project, you're able to import basically your budget into Fieldwire, and then you can select all of those sections and add your original budget in there. And the goal is for you throughout the project to be able to track your costs and to be able to know your forecast in real time to see again whether you're over or whether you're under. At any point, if you have change orders within your project and say these change orders are pending approval or if they've been approved, you'll find that information be reflected directly into your budget module, which avoids you having to manually add that information into different places. If you have other budget related items that are not linked to change orders, you can simply click on the specific item and then go to the cost section and add your costs. You can add the value in there, and then you can add any sort of receipts documentation that you want to add, and then just have that be added to the expense section. Again, this is a high level overview of this budget section. We have a bunch of documentation on our website. If you have more clarifying questions, we're happy to answer questions in regard to our budgeting module as well. And so just to do a recap, the differences between the Pro, the Business, and the Business Plus is the Pro option is the plans, the specifications, the tasks, the photos, and the files. The Business option includes all of this, and it includes forms and 3D models. And then our Business Plus tier includes all of field management, and it includes project management as well with the RFI submittal change orders, and then your budget. Hope this little demo gave you a high-level overview of our Fieldwire platform. If you have any questions, please let us know and we'll be happy to assist you further. Thank you.